Ivan, all the time people ask us, how do I know what pad to choose when I'm polishing paint?
I'm Ivan.
I'm Nick.
This is DIY Detail. Today we're gonna go a little in depth with this hood. How to choose your pad, what's the difference between a damp and a dry pad, and what's a test spot?
I want to start here. What is polishing paint? Because if you don't know how to choose your pad, I'm guessing there's a lot that you probably don't know.
Right, and the first thing we need to do though is make sure we have a clean, decontaminated surface to start with. And this being a scrapyard hood, it's not exactly clean.
I think you'd be surprised out there, maybe not you, but the general detailing public, that folks are often just taking dry towels on paint. They don't realize how much you can risk when you're not pre-treating a panel, when you're not washing it safely, let alone polishing it. So
exactly.
Along the way, in every step, it's all about, we don't want to inflict damage, we're trying to reduce the risk of damaging it at all.
Right, so the first thing we need to do is sure that we get everything off of it. We're gonna let this dwell for a few minutes, let the All Clean do its thing. Now you'll notice that we have a lot of foam from the All Clean. Yes, we added just a touch of Incredible Suds. That gives it more time to dwell, more time to stay there. And it's fun to watch foam.
The Incredible Suds, we just added about a half an ounce in our IK foamer, just enough to add a little more dwell time.
Yeah.
I mean, it is really dwelling right now. What should folks know about what's happening on the paint here before they wash?
So, where the foam is really dwelling, that's where we have a higher concentration of dirt, because it's staying there. It's not sliding down. If this were ceramic coated, this would have slid off the hood, or if this were waxed even, for that matter. So now we've let it dwell for 2 or 3 minutes. We'll rinse it off. Now, is this clean? Not even close. But any grit that was on it, we've removed it, and the All Clean breaks down any oils or grease that could be on it. Next, we need to do a contact wash. To do so, we'll use rinseless wash.
Rinseless wash diluted 256:1, which is 1 ounce of our rinseless wash to 2 gallons of water. Just a really easy way to wash your car, incredibly safe. Wash the car how you want to wash the car.
Right.
We could have said, we're just going to start out with clean paint to polish. We're just doing a quick wash demo. So that's one side of this hood that I just went ahead and washed, Ivan, but even that adds a little bit more risk than I'd like.
Exactly. So what we want to do is pre-spray a bit of rinseless on the surface, let it dwell for a few seconds, and now that rinseless is emulsifying the dirt. It's breaking it down, and it's making it even safer to wash.
Yeah, so talk about the difference between, I mean, this is a test hood, so you can do what you want.
Right.
But talk about the difference between what I just did versus pre-treating it with rinseless one more time. So one added extra layer of lubrication and slickness and cleaning power. Like, what's the difference here as you wash this paint?
The difference is this side will actually become cleaner because now we have the rinseless pre-treating and pre-doing the job. On this side, there was a scratch risk. Now on this hood, we actually want to scratch it up, so not a problem. But if you're doing it the correct way, and we want to mitigate any possible damage that we could do in the washing by safe practices. And one of those safe practices is making sure that we pre-spray the rinses. And now if you're using soap, great. Foam it on, rinse it off, foam again before doing your contact wash.
We don't even have a foam cannon in our new/old shop garage.
Right.
No work has really been done in here, so we're doing a back to basics series, just using a hose. So we've been pre-treating vehicles with All Clean, then hosing it off, and then we like to just do then rinseless on the surface like Ivan did, and then use rinseless in our wash bucket. At this point, if you were just washing the car, you could spray some ceramic gloss on there as your drying aid, bada bing, bada boom. You have a clean, protected panel. But we are just getting started to prep for polishing.
Right, so next step is decontamination. To do so, we have our perforated synthetic decontamination towel.
And normally you wouldn't even slap it on the paint like that, but again, test hood.
Right.
We're trying to inflict a few scratches here, even though we're teaching you how to safely wash.
And there's a lot of scratches in the hood to begin with. So what we're gonna be doing next is iron remover. 1 spray of iron remover. There we go, new sprayer. Once it's on the hood, on the towel, we marry the two together, and that's our starting point. So we have a lot more lubrication here, and the iron remover is a great lubricant to begin with. You'll see suds in a few seconds.
Well, there's perforations in this towel too, Ivan. So what are we trying to remove from the paint, and then where is it going?
Well, it's going onto the surface of the towel and into the towel. And a lot of people get confused about this, and they worry needlessly almost that, what I'm taking off the paint is gonna scratch the paint. In reality, there's not that much there. You've washed it beforehand. You don't have the grit, you don't have the dirt that's there. You have microscopic particles of contamination that are on the surface that we don't see with our eyes and we don't feel with our hands. They're not that big, they're not that scary. Now, if we had taken this before washing it and this is what we're using to wash, yeah, we're gonna scratch the paint.
We do this so often, but it reminds me when we have someone who's never used this decon towel before, they're kind of shocked with how easy it is.
How easy and how efficient it is.
Yeah, because it's just 2 sprays of iron remover instead of spraying the entire panel with our most expensive product, letting it sit, looking for those purple streaks that show that the iron remover is working to convert the rust of these contaminants. When in reality, look at these suds. We could keep working this for another 10 minutes. It's like, this is all you need. There's lots of lubrication. We have surfactants in the iron remover that add that lubrication, make it foam. And it's doing a great job. Really cleaning up this paint for us before we polish.
Yeah, and I'm purposely doing something here. Going at a 45-degree angle, because we know all the scratches were in a straight line. I'm just gonna keep going here for a few seconds, and we'll check it afterwards to see if there's any straight line 45-degree marring on the surface.
Because people always wonder, will this scratch my paint? Will this mar my paint?
Right. And when done correctly with enough lubrication, no. And you can see how much suds were building up. And that is the iron remover that's doing that.
And when you fold this towel into 4s, you're mitigating against any pressure points.
Right. And I have, I'm almost not touching the towel. So
yeah.
I think that should be enough.
Perfect.
Now we're actually starting to see some slight water movement on here.
Yeah, we've decontaminated this paint, and it's starting to maybe show signs of having protection at some point.
Right. Now, I'm gonna go get a drying towel. I'll be right back, because we're actually gonna dry this little corner to see if the decontamination towel did any damage. So let me just dry this one little corner here. And yes, we have scratches all over here, but we don't have any marring. We don't have any lines going this way. Nothing.
Nothing at all.
No. And that's the way it should be. No pressure, proper lubrication. It's a safe process. Now, the next thing we want to do is continue this decontamination routine, and we're going to do that with water spot remover. And the water spot remover arrived. So this is, an important part of decontamination is water spot remover. And people think, well, there's no water spots on this hood. There could be mineral content. And minerals come from different things in detailing, or in real life, sorry. And that is, if you're driving on a salty road, that's minerals accumulating. Drying your car or letting it air dry. And a lot of people like to use the Master Blaster or use the leaf blowers. And that is a fun way of drying your car. But in reality, you're leaving a thin film on there. And if you have any minerals in your water, that is going to accumulate and start creating a mask on the surface.
Ivan, are we overcomplicating polishing? We haven't even gotten to the pads yet. And now we're telling them they need to use iron remover and the decon towel and water spot remover, which is probably better termed a mineral dissolver.
Right, yeah.
But it seems like a lot of steps before they polish. Is that too much for them?
No, to get great success when polishing, it's all in the prep. So when you're cooking something, if you have everything laid out, ready to go, that recipe is so much easier to do. But if you're hunting for stuff as you're doing, same thing. But the prep is the foundation to the polishing job.
Yeah, and I think of why the DIYer out there might get results that are less than ideal. It's because they're probably not doing this prep. So in fact, I would argue that this actually is a crucial part.
Right, now I have a rinseless dampened towel. I'm just gonna agitate the water spot remover.
So this could have been dampened in the same bucket of rinseless wash we had our legacy sponge in earlier.
Exactly.
Yep.
And by agitating, we're working it in. You'll notice I'm not flipping the towel. I'm not trying to pick up the water spot remover. I'm just trying to agitate. I'll let you get that bottom corner there.
Often in detailing, you'll flip sides often, right? Because you're not trying to drive any dirt or anything that could scratch the paint. We've already washed and deeply decontaminated this. So like you said, no pressure on the towel, and you work this exact same side over the entire vehicle.
Right.
You're just trying to build redundancy into your water spot remover, hitting every part of the paint, a little bit of agitation, and then you're going to get enough dwell time just by doing this that it's going to work well.
Yeah, and some people mistakenly think that water spot remover has some form of protection in it, because once you've done water spot remover, there's a good chance you'll get beading like this.
And if folks don't quite see the beading or they don't know what you're referring to, what's the water behavior looking like?
Well, in the beginning, when we had water on here, it was just a sheet of water staying there. Now the water is going away. And that water going away is indicating to us that the surface is clean now.
Yeah, you may think that your ceramic coating or your wax is dead. Hey, it only lasted a few weeks, but this brand said it would last this long, or maybe it's our product, right? This decontamination process restores water beading. We just got this junkyard hood. I didn't have any idea about its history, but there had to have been some protection on here, Ivan.
Well, actually, paint from a paint booth is the most hydrophobic paint you'll ever see, more than most coatings. So a clean paint, a clean surface will do this. And if you go into a junkyard, or if your car is not beading any water at all, and then you go through the steps that we've done now, there's a good chance you'll actually restore some beading, and there's no protection on there whatsoever. But when we say water beads, these are water beads. Yeah. All these little droplets of water. And you know, a lot of people ask, oh, well, I prefer sheeting over beading. Well,
what does sheeting mean?
This is beading. So see all these little beads of water.
And why would somebody want water beads on their paint?
Water beads lift the dirt off the surface, and if we were driving down the highway, it would almost self-clean the vehicle, because it lifts it off the surface, and then it's in that bead, it's suspended, the bead goes away like we see here. It's just falling down the panel. Now, sheeting is when you have a higher quantity of water, like this, and it just goes away in one big sheet, and we basically have a dry surface. So that's sheeting, that's beading. And a lot of people confuse that, oh, I want a product that sheets, I don't want a product that beads. They're the same product. It's just how much water are you putting on the surface is going to determine whether it's beading or sheeting.
I think it's so fascinating because this paint really is trashed. I mean, you see scratches everywhere. You could have totally scratched up paint and then protect it at the end and have all these water beads, right?
Right, exactly.
But the reason we remove a lot of these imperfections by leveling the clear coat a little bit when we polish is so that your eye perceives all these little scratches and divots, right? It's refracting light in uneven ways and it looks kind of hazy. You're gonna get more gloss when that looks more even to your eye. And then you add the protection and that's gonna add even more gloss and self-cleaning.
Nick, I'm gonna stop you from drying anymore.
Okay.
We have in this corner, there's a sticker here. So people ask, how do we remove adhesives?
Well, clearly a dedicated adhesive remover.
Right, or we call it a tree sap remover. But if you have adhesive, if you have tar, this is going to break it down.
Think of it as a solvent, right?
Yeah, and that's exactly what it is.
So why do we brand it as tree sap remover if you're using it on stickers?
Well, it is a great tree sap remover, and not all solvents work on tree sap.
So this is one of those underrated products from us that people probably are like, I don't get tree sap, I'm not worried about this.
Right.
Wow, look at how easy the sticker's coming off.
Yeah. And
it's just like coming right up.
And there's a bit of tape residue down here. I'll just get that at the same time.
Oh, that just makes light work.
Yeah.
All right, folks, if you've used our tree sap remover before, comment below on how it works and what you've used it on. If you haven't, what are you waiting for? That's amazing, Ivan.
Yeah.
Wow.
And down here, the same thing. We're not worried about scratching the hood. That's why I'm agitating with my glove. But if you're worried about scratching your hood, you put it on, you let it sit, you let it dwell. Nice, clean microfiber cloth, dampened and rinseless. You're going to pick that up.
Ever so gently.
Yeah. And yes, it's not instantaneous. On some things, it will be really instantaneous. On other things, it might take a little more. So we'll let that dwell for a second. I'll come back and wipe it off.
Are we wiping or rinsing?
Oh, we can rinse it if you want. Be careful. He tends to be a little overwhelming with this sometimes. Oh, well, with that spray, no, not a problem.
So now we're ready to dry, Evan.
Yeah, let's dry this off. Now, we got this hood for a number of reasons. And one of them is we'll be doing a test, and you'll see a link to the video below once it's released, on what cuts faster, DA or rotary. So we're gonna reserve this section for that test because it's gonna be actually a long test. It actually takes longer than you think to get through paint. But let's move down here and show what the different pads can do. And we just happen to have, like one of those kitchen shows, look, we have pads. So we have 3 pads, and we'll start with the least aggressive because that's the way you should always start your test spot, with the least aggressive. And that is our red foam. It's thick, it's waffle, and we designed it specifically for the rotary. Now you can use it on a DA, it works well on a DA, but on the rotary, it's just a breeze. It will make you fall in love with your rotary again. Then we have our all-purpose pad. And if you only have one pad in your life, this is the one to have. Works on a DA, works on a rotary, cuts a little bit, finishes super well. It's the all-purpose pad. The one that if you need, like I said, to have one pad in your life, you only want one pad, this is the one you want. Our yellow or our gold waffle pad. And then finally, we have our wool pad. This is aggressive. It is specifically designed to be used with a long stroke DA like our 25mm DA. And the reason we designed this is a lot of people spend an inordinate amount of time working on a vehicle, polishing to try to get a result. And they do get the results, and they're using foam pads, usually a flat foam pad, and it takes a lot of time. So having a pad that's more aggressive but safe to use at the same time is great. And what we have here is a 1/4 inch of really fine foamed wool and then an interface. And the glue that is between this and the foam and between the Velcro and the foam is permeable, meaning air flows through it. And the backing plates on our machine acts like a ventilated rotor on your brakes, that it actually draws air up through the pad and exhausts it out the side of the backing plate. That is a great thing because we're keeping the pad cool. The cooler we keep the pad, the cooler we keep the paint, the better our cut is going to be, but also the better our results. Nick, we have brushes, we have tape, we have a clean, decontaminated hood. But to make it more visual, we need to scratch the hood up a little more. Now, above the tape line, this will be reserved for another video.
Okay.
Below the tape line is what we're doing now. So, off we go. Oh, put some pressure on it.
Okay, we're going for it?
Like you mean it. And people that are afraid that brushes scratch paint, you'll see the effort that we're putting in here. I've got enough to deflect the hood of pressure. And are you getting scratches? A little bit.
Oh, I'm getting them. I'm getting them.
Yeah, my brush is fresh from the rinseless. Oh, yeah, I'm getting a few scratches here.
How do you feel watching us
scratch paint willingly?
Scratch paint up. Oh yeah, mine's thrashed.
Having spent 44 years trying to clean paint and make it shiny, this is sort of counterproductive. But anyways, counterintuitive, I should say. It's productive because we're helping you. Next, the pad that does everything, our gold standard pad. So let's take our 25mm machine. First pad we're going to use, Nick, is our gold standard pad, but dry. We're not going to wash it first. It's a brand new pad, so no need to worry about cross-contamination.
Why use it dry?
Because a lot of people think a dry pad is great, it's fun. And we're ready to polish. Now, Nick, I'll let you do this.
This is a dry pad.
This is a dry pad.
Okay.
And give me your impressions. Now, try to stay just over here.
And what speed are we rocking? 3?
Speed 3, one pass up, one pass down, one pass up, and you're done. Down and back up.
Okay.
Rinseless dampened towel, a dry towel. We're giving it a bit of gloss. The defects are still there.
For sure. Yeah, it's glossy, but the defects are there.
Definitely. And the defects are going to stay. because only one pass like that is just to see how much gloss you're getting. It's not going to be defect removal. Now we're going to take the same pad in our pad washer. You've seen us use the pad washer many, many times before. Now, Nick, now we have a new damp pad, not a dry pad.
Right, because in that rinseless wash solution in the pad washer, it shoots it up into the pad. It's slightly damp. Even after you free spin it at the end, there's still a little bit of moisture in there.
There's less than 1 gram or 1 milliliter of liquid in this whole pad. So it's not a lot. But press on this with your thumb or whatever. Feel a bit of stiffness?
Yeah, this is a firmer pad for sure.
How does it feel when it's slightly damp?
I would say slightly easier to press down.
Right,
yeah.
Slightly softer, so it's gonna follow the contours a little better.
Okay, Ivan, I'm gonna put my tape where I sort of polished with the dry pad, just so we can keep track of where we've been.
Yeah, so now try the damp pad.
Damp pad, 1 spray of polish on
One
here.
spray of polish, that's all you ever need.
And just 1 and down and back.
Same as you did the other one.
No pressure on the machine.
No, there you go.
Just like that?
Yep. Now, can you see a difference between the two sides?
I see probably 30% of the scratches left here, but incredible gloss compared to this.
Right, and compared to where you went with a dry pad.
This is a lot hazier. There's more defects. There's more scratches here than there are here.
Right. What the damp pad does for you, other than ease of use and makes the pad a little softer, is you actually get better cut. You get a better finish with a damp pad. Nick, one other thing that you probably haven't seen in a while that we have on this hood, and that is dust. That's another thing the dry pad does for you, is creates dust. Damp pad mitigates that. So we have this little dust down here that we're not used to seeing.
Yeah, we don't get dust with gold standard.
No, exactly. And that is the dry pad. And it actually a lot of advantages. No, it breaks the pad down.
Oh, I thought you misspoke. So
No.
it breaks the pad and
The polish down.
polish down faster.
Yeah,
So that's part of the benefit of the wet pad.
right, exactly. So a damp pad, not wet, does a much better job of polishing. So let's just get rid of this dust, because I don't like dust. So get your tape, I mean.
Okay.
Let's do another line. So next, tape line.
About here?
Yeah,
Ivan and tape lines. It's a rare day.
yeah, exactly.
With Ivan, it's kind of like, hey, I've been doing this a while. Trust me, it works. We don't need tape lines. It takes too long. Tape, dust, sling. You're wasting your time if you're polishing paint using tape and using polishes that dust. But part of our system is that we use a damp pad.
Right, and a damp pad makes a world of difference. Now this pad is brand new. We are going to get a bit of linting from the wool, but dampening it actually helps that, or reduces that, I should say.
Ivan, how long can you expect to get lint from a new wool pad?
Couple panels. And then,
Is that an issue of safety at all?
no, it's just the way the manufacturing. It's not a safety issue for us.
Or
It's
your
just-
paint, I mean.
Yeah, not an issue for the paint either. So, like Nick did previously, I'm going to use the wool pad this time. Speed 3, no pressure. One down, one up. And no, this isn't full correction. We're just seeing what the pad is actually doing. And let's see what it actually did.
A rinseless wash dampened towel for that initial wipe of your polish is a game changer, by the way.
So we have a lot less scratches than the other side.
Less scratches, but this is shinier.
Right.
The yellow pad, the foam, is going to give you more gloss.
Exactly.
This is going to create its own scratch pattern. So as it levels clear coat to remove the appearance of scratches,
Yeah.
right, which are just kind of these divots in the clear, you're leveling clear coat, but it's a more aggressive scratch pattern because of the wool. So it's leaving its own hazy pattern behind that you may need to then polish over with the yellow. 'Cause
Exactly.
It'll create an even finer scratch pattern and look like this. So there'll be less defects here and shinier. Right now there's more defects, but it still feels shiny. It's very strange.
Now, let me just do another pass here, and I'll go a little further. And this is to show what a two-step can do.
Okay. So
exactly. Now
low
I'm
polishing
going to leave that there. We're not going to wipe it off. The next is our red rotary jeweling pad. And normally we would use this on a rotary, but people have asked us, can it be used on a DA? Will it give us a good finish on a DA? We're here to say yes.
Ivan, this is all about how to choose a polishing pad though. So why would they choose red versus yellow for that finishing step?
This is the finest jeweling finishing pad. And let's put another tape line down here.
Okay.
Actually, 2 tape lines, Nick. One there and then one just on the edge of there.
So you're gonna leave that one empty?
No, that's what I'm going to do with this. Now we're going to show you the results of just the red pad by itself. Normally this is done as a second step. Or if you're just doing a paint enhancement, this is a great pad for that. Give us a little room to work. And before we wipe this off, you can see that we have hardly any trace of the polish here because it's such a fine pad that it's not doing any cutting, a little bit, but not much. And then we'll do the second pass over the wool.
Dry yellow waffle.
Yeah.
Wet yellow waffle.
Right.
Wool.
Wool only.
Rotary jeweling, 2-step.
Right.
Hope you're keeping track.
So from our vantage point, this by far has the most correction.
This is the shiniest.
Yeah.
100%. This looks amazing. I don't know if you can tell from where you are, but
yeah, no,
that's the glossiest for sure.
Yeah, that's super glossy. Here we have gloss, but we still have a lot of scratches. Here we have a lot less scratches, but a lot less gloss. And here we have a good 50%. We have gloss, we have correction, and then here we have less correction and less gloss than here. 2-stage.
I like these two the best.
Yeah.
Yellow waffle, wet pad, and the 2-stage.
Yeah, exactly. And that's how our system is designed. If you're only using one pad, you're going to use the gold standard waffle pad, the gold pad. If you're doing a 2-stage, you're going to be using the wool pad and then the red foam pad.
Or the yellow waffle if you desire.
Yeah, exactly.
What you've got.
Yeah.
It can also be used as a final finishing
Oh,
pad.
definitely, yeah.
Yeah, but to discern between the yellow waffle and the red foam pad,
Right.
when do you know when to use either of those?
Between the yellow and the red is no correction whatsoever. So if you have no scratches, you just want to get more gloss, that's when the red pad is for. If you're using it after the wool pad, one or the other will do. My preference is the red one on a rotary, but that's my personal preference. It'll work on any machine, it's not a problem.
If you don't want to use a rotary and you're just a dual action person,
Yeah.
Yeah.
No fears, no problems there. But you can see the results that we got as a 2-step, and it's a very simple 2-step, and we didn't spend a lot of time. We just did one pass up and down. That's it.
when you're polishing out there, you're going to do one pass left, right, and then another set of passes up, down, left,
Right.
left, right. You're going to work in that 2x2 section. So we teach usually 3 section passes. So up, down, left, right, up, down, clean your pad, move on to the next polishing section.
Yeah.
So you will be spending more time on paint. You'll get more defect removal with that wool when you're actually.
We're going to end this actually doing a regular section pass. So the left, right, up, down, left, right. And
Show them how you do it with the wool, yeah?
Yeah, so we'll do it as a 2-stage polish.
Now, if we're trying to remove these scratches, are you putting a lot of pressure and heat on the paint to really get them?
No, the less pressure you have, the better it will cut. The better job it will do. The easier it is on you, the easier it is on the machine and on the polish. Because when you create heat, this is plastic. Clear coat is plastic. It's not lacquer like back in the 70s. This is plastic. And that plastic, when you heat plastic, it becomes soft. When it becomes soft, it becomes malleable. And the abrasives, instead of cutting, are now just gungy and rolling, and they're not having fun.
You know what I would never do that I'm enjoying now? Is I'm just leaning my hand on the paint.
Yeah.
You ever detail for someone and then they admire your work and then they lean against the
look
paint?
at this, yeah.
Don't normally, you never lean on, but
Right.
test yard hood, so.
So this is how I would normally do a test spot. And a test spot, normally I'll start with the yellow pad, do left, right, up, down, left, right, wipe it off, and decide, do I need to go more aggressive, do I not? With a bit of experience, we know we need to be a little more aggressive with this. And we've already done the test spot. So But if you're doing a 2-stage test spot, this is how I do it. So start with a wool pad. A 50% overlap. So I'm moving down roughly about 3 inches every time. Then I'm going to go up and down. Again, moving roughly about 3 inches every time. And you can see how much pressure I'm putting on the machine.
None at all.
Yeah. And then I'll finish left to right.
One thing that people may not know how to measure, but once you hear it this way, it makes sense, is this is about as wide as your shoulders. That's as wide as you're going. You're not reaching over here in your section passes. You're staying within your shoulder range.
Right, and there's actually one very simple way of your microfiber towel. Now, if you've got a big drying blanket, maybe not the best choice, but your standard size 16 by 16 microfiber towel is a good size. Next, stage 2.
People might be wondering what's going on. We just have one liquid in our system. It's the gold standard polish.
Right.
And you can leave it on the surface when you're doing a 2-step.
Exactly.
You don't have to wipe it off.
No, we actually prefer you leave it on the surface. It actually does a better job.
One spray on a moving pad.
One spray on a moving pad and spray like you're angry. And I'm going to do the exact same motion, speed 3.
No pressure on the machine, flat pad.
Right, and you'll notice there's a small area I left.
Oh, I noticed.
And that is to show that there's other tools on the market. Now we have our rotary, we have our DA. If you have never polished paint before and you don't want to invest $2, $3, $4, $5, $6, some are up to $1,000 now, on a polisher, there's a simple polisher you can buy or you might already have that does a great job. Let's see it fly in from the outside here. There we go. And this is just a simple dual action or random orbital sander. We've cleaned the pad, one spray of the polish. Let's just do that little bottom section here.
But you could use the wool pad, the yellow waffle, or the rotary jeweling pad, the red one. And folks can use this at the highest speed it comes on, yeah?
Exactly.
Because of the short stroke.
So, damp with rinseless, and don't be in a rush to dry it off. Let the air do a bit of the work for you. So, I tend to polish the whole car before I wipe it off. And then when I'm going around and doing the wipe off, it's very easy. I can do 2 panels, go back to the first, wipe or wet the third, dry the second, and just go like that. There we have it. So as a test spot, I see that we've removed a lot of defects. There's still defects in the paint. And at this point, it's up to you to decide whether you want to go after those defects, whether you want to spend the time to remove those defects. And obviously, these defects were a little deeper than normal. People don't take a stiff nylon brush used for their tires to wash their paint with.
But it's a good example of the way we teach paint correction or paint polishing, right? We don't teach it to go all the way to 100% because you go after being a hero, you turn into a zero very quickly. Clear coat is very thin. We teach preservation over perfection. If you're going after that last 15, maybe even 10%, look, I'm probably gonna hit this with sandpaper, which there's probably not enough clear coat to do that. Then I'm gonna be compounding, polishing it out. You're just removing a lot more clear coat when you're going after the deep stuff and you're introducing a lot more risk. And so we're teaching you out there how to do this safely with no heat on the paint, with great results. Will it be perfect? No, and I don't think there's anything close to perfect paint out there anyway.
Exactly. So with that, if you have any questions, leave them below, comments. If you haven't subscribed yet, now would be a good time because there's another video that's going to be featuring this hood on comparing the DA versus the rotary.
And that video, depending on when it all comes out, is located right here.